Sox are 3-7 their last 10, and they're only 5.5 games out of this race. So that sums up the AL Central at its finest. That
Yeah.
you can win 3 games over your you could go 3-7 over 10 games, and they've lost like 1.5 games in the standings since that happened. So welcome to the AL Central, folks. Welcome to the Centrals. We'll just call this the Centrals because
the Centrals.
The Centrals are both bad. But I wanted to start off tonight's conversation, which was it's been an interesting topic because we used to have LaRussa Palooza, and when
I miss LaRussa Palooza. It was like my favorite drop ever.
It was great. It was great from a segment standpoint. Let's put it that way.
Maybe not on the field.
That was the only part that was good. But then, in looking, we started. We thought, and we came up with Grifoli's because we're old, and
you came up with that was great.
Yeah. So I don't know what this one is actually, because we're going to talk about the Jake Berger incident from this week. That's what I want to start off with. And
yeah, this is confusing because it's
Grifoli, or is it, because that's what I put it as till I started to look at the numbers, and then you back that up with Grifol taking the time to call Scott Merkin over and explain the logic behind what he was doing. So maybe it's just Grifol logic, but there's
I was going to call it like a Grifoli's plus the lineupistas.
Yeah, it's a little of both, because let's
Jake Berger batting 8th in the lineup.
Yeah, Jake Berger, potential all-star. He has the offensive resume to be on the all-star ballot, is batting 8th in the lineup, and everyone loses their fucking mind. Even I was like, why the fuck is Berger batting 8th? Like,
everyone became a lineup-ista that day.
I wasn't like, oh my God, you should fire Grifol like a lot of people were, but like, I was just like, that doesn't seem to make sense. This guy's a potential all-star. You want to get him as many at bats as possible. Now, when you dig further into it and look at Jake Berger's greatest successes this year in the batting order, 8th is actually his 4th best with a decent amount of games, and that's what I'm saying.
Cool.
Decent amount of games.
I'm glad you looked all those up because I'm not sure that's how Grifol phrased it, but yeah, I looked up the splits today too. I think it was just the ESPN stats page where you can pull up every position in the order. He's batted in 8 of the 9 positions. He only hasn't batted 3rd, which I found interesting too. But he's best at leadoff. But
that's one game. That was one game with one plate appearance. One
swing of the bat, he hit the home run. So he's got a 5,000 OPS in the leadoff spot. So put him in the leadoff spot.
His OPS plus is 1140 in the leadoff spot. So put him there. But looking at OPS, in the A spot, he has a 952 OPS in 8 games played. What's interesting, though, is when you do move him up in the lineup, like if you bat him 5th, it's 1173 in 10 games. But if you bat him 4th, which he's batting tonight, it's 1319. So, and then it's 1024 in 7th. That's the 3rd best. So
did I misread it, or is Grifol trying to justify his placing him there just by throwing out a random stat, but not putting it into context like you just did?
Yeah, well, he did say, when I read through all the stuff with Merkin, is they're not just, saying, all we can do is squeeze Jake in at 8th. It had to do with matchups and leveraging his numbers in that position, and the idea of having guys on base in front of him to have one big swing change the game.
I saw that too. He was trying to say that he had better guys at getting on base deeper in the order than he did at the top of the order, which didn't make any sense to me either. So I feel like he just got caught in some circular logic that Merkin didn't really call him out on necessarily. He just reported what he said. But when he only referenced the OBP or his OPS in the 8 slot, not putting into context that that's his 4th best position.
Yeah.
Again, I've got a larger qualm with the idea of making a decision of where to put somebody based on their OPS over one season. I mean, we're talking about 21 at bats that he's had in the 8 slot. You know, that is not a representative sample size to make decisions on. There's also debates, you know, within the analytics community whether it matters at all where you are placed in the order. If it's all just completely random, you know, you put your best, like you said, and we've said for years, you put your best hitters at the top of the order so they get more at bats. So it's not there's more to it than that, but to have him at 8th, and then to try to justify it like that just seems ridiculous.
I think the major Grifol wasn't so much, you know, the numbers sort of say, okay, it's not totally crazy. But when he said in the post, when he talked about him getting 4 at bats, like the way your team is playing right now, there is no one in the 8 slot who's getting 4 at bats.
I think he only got 3 that night.
He only got 3.
So
but he said he was going to get his 4 at bats no matter what, and it's like, no, he's not.
No, he could get 5 if you put him in the leadoff or 2 slot. I mean, it easily happens, and for it to work the opposite way of what he's saying.
Yeah,
is this a symptom of he's starting to feel the pressure? Like,
yeah, I think so. I think that's why. I mean, I don't know that any other manager. We certainly know Tony wouldn't, but we know like any other manager other than someone who's never managed before would go out of the way to call over the White Sox, you know, MLB beat reporter to justify his actions.
That's a really good point that he called him over. Yeah.
He said what he said in the post game.
He wasn't reacting to a question. He's trying to put his own agenda out there.
Yeah. And again, when you look at the numbers, like whatever, but like the idea that your second best hitter on the team is batting 8th is dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, are you trying to get Yasmani at 7 some better looks, who's not having a terrible season? He's having a better season than he had last year, but part of that's because they can't shift anymore. But like,
you mean for like lineup protection, like put
yeah. But like, who cares? Then you don't do that. Jake Berger.
I'm not sure how much lineup protection really exists either. So
yeah, that's true. That's true, because no one. Those days of everyone always throwing a fastball on a 3-2 count or whatever, it's gone. They throw you a fucking slider and send you a packet.
That's baseball when we were kids.
Yeah, that's archaic thinking. I think it's archaic thinking.
I think it still prevails, though. I think you hear about that a lot. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I think we just still sum it up as a Grifol, but it wasn't. I don't know. I just have so many mixed feelings about it. I think the biggest mistake is the idea that Jake was still getting 4 at bats and that your second best hitter is batting 8th at all. This is kind of like when it kind of I had a weird like PTSD moment of like Lurie in the leadoff spot last year.
Oh my God.
So
the opposite issue.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, so that's how I wanted to open it up.
All the lineup Eastas out there have their day now. So
yes.
Let's dive in.
Word Hole Media.